There is a version of you that already exists beyond this moment. Not as a fantasy, not as a wish, but as a pattern of coherence that your current choices are either feeding or starving with every passing hour. And that version of you, the one standing on the other side of the transformation you keep circling, is not passively waiting. It is sending signals. Right now. Through the discomfort you cannot explain. Through the restlessness that will not let you settle. Through the strange pull towards something you cannot yet name but can feel in the center of your chest, like a low hum that refuses to go quiet. Most people hear that hum and try to silence it. They medicate it, distract from it, scroll past it, argue with it. They treat it as noise. But what if that signal is the most important communication you have ever received? What if the agitation you feel is not a sign that something is wrong with you, but evidence that something is trying to be born through you, and you keep refusing the labor? Today, we are going to talk about something very specific. Not manifestation in the general sense, not raising your vibration as a vague instruction. We are going to talk about the psychophysiological shield, the actual, measurable state of nervous system coherence that makes you functionally untouchable to the patterns, people, and provocations that have been running your life on repeat. We are going to look at what this shield is made of, how it works at the level of your biology, why your future self depends on you activating it now, and the precise practice that begins to build it. Not tomorrow, not when you are ready, now. Let me start with something that will sound strange but is experimentally documented. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field that extends several feet beyond your body. This is not metaphor. The HeartMath Institute has measured this using magnetometers sensitive enough to detect the field at a distance. Your heart produces an electrical signal roughly 60 times greater in amplitude than the brain, and a magnetic field approximately 5,000 times stronger. That field changes shape, changes coherence, changes reach depending on your internal emotional state. When you are in frustration, anxiety, or resentment, the field becomes erratic, jagged, disordered. The technical term is incoherent. When you shift into states like genuine appreciation, care, or compassion, something measurable happens. The heart rhythm pattern smooths into a sine wave-like oscillation. The intervals between heartbeats become mathematically ordered. This state is called cardiac coherence, and when it is active, it does not just change how you feel. It changes what you broadcast. This is the foundation of the shield, and understanding it requires that we abandon the idea that you end at your skin. Classical physics treated objects as separate, bounded, isolated. You are here, the world is there, and the two interact through mechanical contact. Push something, it moves. Remove the push, it stops. That model is clean and intuitive, and it is incomplete in ways that matter enormously for your daily experience. Because at the quantum level, and increasingly at the biological level, boundaries are not what they seem. Consider what happens in quantum entanglement. Two particles interact and become correlated. After that, measuring one instantly determines the state of the other, regardless of the distance between them. Einstein called this spooky action at a distance because it violated his sense of locality, the idea that things should only be influenced by their immediate surroundings. But experiment after experiment, most famously the tests of Bell's theorem by Alain Aspect in 1982, and the more rigorous loophole-free tests in 2015, confirmed that entanglement is real. Non-locality is a feature of reality, not a glitch. Now, I am not telling you that your heart is quantumly entangled with another person's heart in the strict physics sense. That would be an overreach. What I am telling you is that the principle underneath entanglement, the principle that connection does not require contact, that correlation can exist without a visible mechanism linking two systems, shows up at scales far larger than the subatomic. Your heart's electromagnetic field is one example. It is a measurable physical emanation that carries information about your internal state into the space around you, and other nervous systems respond to it. Studies have shown that one person's cardiac signal can be detected in another person's brainwave recording when they are in close proximity. You are not metaphorically affecting the people around you. You are literally, electromagnetically doing it. So when we talk about a shield, we are not talking about building a wall. Walls block. Walls isolate. A wall is a fear response dressed up as strength. What we are talking about is a field, a coherent broadcast that is so stable, so ordered, so anchored in a particular state of internal organization that dissonant signals cannot penetrate it. Not because they are blocked, but because they cannot find a matching frequency to latch onto. Think about how a tuning fork works. Strike one tuning fork and hold it near another of the same frequency, and the second fork begins to vibrate. This is sympathetic resonance. But hold that vibrating fork near a fork tuned to a completely different frequency, and nothing happens. The second fork is not resisting. It is not fighting. It simply does not have a resonant match for the incoming signal. The vibration passes through without effect. This is the mechanism of the shield. And your future self, the version of you that has already learned to live from this place of coherence, needs you to understand that every moment you spend in reactive incoherence is a moment you are tuned to the wrong fork. You are vibrating at the frequency of whatever provoked you, which means you are available to be played by anything that matches that provocation. Someone's anger finds your anger. Someone's contempt finds your insecurity. A piece of bad news finds your catastrophic thinking. Not because you are weak, because you are resonant with the incoming signal. The shield is not about becoming stronger against these things. It is about becoming a different frequency entirely. If this is resonating with you, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so we can keep going deeper into this work together. If you have ever felt something get close and then fall apart, that is not bad luck. That is a pattern. And patterns have a source. There is something underneath all of it, quietly running the show. I am hosting a free live transmission where I walk you through exactly what that is and how to finally shift it at the root. The link to register is in the description below. Save your seat. The moment you see this, you will understand why you could not see it before. Let us go deeper into what incoherence actually looks like in your nervous system, because this is where most people are living without realizing it. And it is the thing your future self most urgently needs you to see. Your autonomic nervous system has two primary branches. The sympathetic branch, which activates your fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic branch, which governs rest, digestion, repair, and what we might call receptive presence. In a healthy, coherent system, these two branches work in a dynamic, rhythmic balance. They oscillate. The sympathetic activates when action is needed. The parasympathetic restores when the action is complete. This oscillation is not a problem. It is the design. The problem is when one branch gets stuck in the on position. For most people living modern lives, the sympathetic branch is chronically activated. not because they are being chased by predators, but because the nervous system cannot distinguish between a physical threat and a psychological one. A critical email from your boss activates the same cascade of cortisol and adrenaline as a predator in the bush. A social media comment that challenges your identity triggers the same defensive mobilization as a physical attack. The body does not know the difference. It only knows the signal it receives from your perception. And here is what chronic sympathetic activation does to your field. It fragments it. Your heart rhythm becomes disordered. Your brain waves lose their coherent patterns. Your hormonal profile shifts toward stress chemistry, cortisol, adrenaline, norepinephrine, which narrows your perception, shortens your time horizon, and locks you into reactive patterns. You literally cannot see options that exist outside the threat frame. Your creativity drops, your empathy drops, your ability to access intuition drops. You become, in the most precise sense, a smaller version of yourself, not because something was taken from you, but because your own nervous system contracted around a perceived threat and never released. This is the state most people are broadcasting from, and they wonder why they keep attracting the same conflicts, the same disappointments, the same relationships that mirror their wounds back to them. They are not unlucky. They are resonant. Their field is tuned to the frequency of their unresolved activation, and reality, being the responsive medium it is, keeps delivering matching signals. Your future self knows this. Your future self has already moved through the recognition that the pattern was never out there. It was in here, in the nervous system, in the field, in the frequency of the broadcast. And the message coming back to you through time, through intuition, through that hum in your chest, is simple. Change the broadcast. I want to pause here and ask you something. When you think about the patterns that keep repeating in your life, the same conflicts, the same emotional loops, can you feel the frequency they are running on? Drop into the comments and tell me what pattern you are most ready to release right now. Name it, because naming it is the first step in changing the broadcast. But how? This is where we need to be precise, because the spiritual marketplace is full of instructions that sound good but lack mechanism. Raise your vibration. Think positive. Let go of negativity. These are not wrong, but they are like telling someone who has never seen a kitchen to just cook something delicious. The instruction is useless without understanding the ingredients, the tools, the sequence, the heat. The ingredient here is attention. Not positive thinking. Not affirmation. Attention. There is a concept in neuroscience called the reticular activating system, or RAS. It is a network of neurons in the brainstem that acts as a filter for incoming sensory information. You are bombarded with roughly 11 million bits of sensory data per second. Your conscious mind can process about 50. The RAS decides which 50 get through, and the primary criterion it uses for filtering is relevance. Specifically, relevance as defined by what you have been focusing on, what you believe, and what your nervous system has been primed to watch for. This is why, when you buy a new car, you suddenly see that car everywhere. The cars were always there. Your RAS was not flagging them as relevant until you made that purchase. The same mechanism operates with threats, opportunities, evidence for your beliefs, and evidence against them. Your RAS is not neutral, it is trained. And it has been trained by every experience, every repetition, every emotional charge you have ever encoded. So when someone tells you to think positive and you try, but your RAS is trained on 20 years of threat detection, the positive thought is a whisper in a hurricane. It does not get through the filter. The nervous system overrides the conscious intention because the nervous system is faster, older, and more powerful than the prefrontal cortex. This is why willpower fails. This is why affirmations alone rarely produce lasting change. You are trying to reprogram the software while the hardware is running a completely different operating system. The shield is a hardware upgrade, not a software patch. And the way you upgrade the hardware is through sustained, specific, body-level practices that retrain the autonomic nervous system to default to coherence rather than reactivity. This is not theory. This is clinical. Cardiac coherence training has been used in military contexts, in trauma recovery, in high-performance athletics, and in clinical psychology. The data is consistent. When you train the heart into coherent rhythms through deliberate practice, the brain follows. The cortical facilitation effect means that a coherent heart signal actually enhances prefrontal cortex function, improving decision-making, emotional regulation, and creative problem-solving. You do not just feel better, you think better. You perceive more accurately. You respond rather than react. Let me give you the specific mechanism, because this is what your future self needs you to actually do, not just understand. Sit with this for a moment. Right now, wherever you are, bring your attention to the center of your chest, not your head. Your chest. Feel the physical space there. You do not have to feel anything special. Just notice it. The warmth, the pressure, the subtle rhythm. Now begin to breathe as if your breath is flowing in and out through that area. Not through your nose or mouth conceptually, but as if the center of your chest is the aperture. Slow the breath to about 5 to 6 seconds on the inhale, 5 to 6 seconds on the exhale. This specific rhythm, approximately 10 seconds per breath cycle, corresponds to a resonant frequency of the cardiovascular system. It is the rate at which the baroreceptors in your blood vessels, the heart, and the autonomic nervous system enter a state of maximum coherence. This is not arbitrary. It is physiologically tuned. As you breathe at this rhythm through the center of your chest, activate a genuine feeling. Not a thought about a feeling, the feeling itself. Appreciation for something real and specific, a person, a moment, a place. Care for someone you actually care about. Gratitude for something you can genuinely feel grateful for. The feeling has to be real. The nervous system knows the difference between a performed emotion and a felt one. A performed emotion does not change the heart rhythm. A felt one does. Hold this for 3 minutes, just 3. That is enough to begin shifting the autonomic balance from sympathetic dominance toward coherent oscillation. The heart rhythm smooths, the electromagnetic field organizes. The brain receives a coherent signal and begins to entrain to it. In those 3 minutes, you are not just calming down. You are retuning the instrument. You are changing the broadcast. You are building the shield. Now, 3 minutes once will give you a temporary shift. What your future self needs from you is repetition, because the nervous system learns through repetition, not through insight. You can understand everything I am saying intellectually and remain completely unchanged at the level of your autonomic function. Understanding is not transformation. Repetition is transformation. The nervous system does not care what you know. It cares what you practice. This is one of the most important distinctions your future self has already integrated, and it is the one most people resist most fiercely. Because we live in a culture that worships knowledge. We believe that if we understand a problem, we have solved it. We read the book, watch the video, take the course, and feel a rush of comprehension that we mistake for change. But comprehension is a cortical event. Change is a somatic event. It happens in the body, in the nervous system, in the cellular memory of your tissues, and the body only changes through practice. Think about learning to ride a bicycle. No amount of reading about balance, momentum, and steering geometry will keep you upright on two wheels. You have to get on the bicycle and fall again, and wobble, and gradually, through repetition, your cerebellum encodes the motor pattern, and it becomes automatic. You do not think about balance anymore. You just ride. The shield works the same way. You are not going to think your way into coherence. You are going to practice your way into it. And the practice is not complex. It is the breath, the chest focus, the genuine feeling, repeated daily until the nervous system begins to default to that state rather than requiring conscious effort to access it. There is a threshold. Research suggests it takes roughly 45 days of consistent practice, about 15 to 20 minutes per day, to begin shifting the autonomic baseline. Not the temporary state you access during the practice, but the baseline, the resting state your nervous system returns to when you are not deliberately practicing. This is the difference between visiting coherence and living there. Your future self lives there. Your current self visits. The bridge between the two is 45 days of unsexy, undramatic, repetitive practice. And this is where most people stop. Because the practice is boring. Because it does not produce fireworks. Because the mind, addicted to novelty and stimulation, rebels against the simplicity. It wants a more complex technique, a more advanced method, a secret that will shortcut the process. But there is no shortcut. The nervous system does not respond to cleverness. It responds to repetition and sincerity. Let me tell you what happens when the shield is active, because understanding the destination can sustain you through the practice. When your autonomic nervous system defaults to coherence, something remarkable happens to your perception. The world does not change. You do. And because you change, the world you perceive changes, because perception is not passive reception. It is active construction. Here is a specific example. You are in a conversation and someone says something dismissive. In your current state, the sympathetic nervous system fires. Cortisol spikes, your field fragments, your RAS narrows to threat-relevant information, which means you start scanning for evidence that this person disrespects you, has always disrespected you, and will continue to disrespect you. You build a case in milliseconds. Your response comes from that case, not from the present moment. You react to the pattern, not the person. In the coherent state, the same words land differently. Not because you are suppressing your response or performing spiritual bypassing, but because the coherent nervous system has a wider perceptual aperture. The prefrontal cortex stays online. You can hold the dismissive comment and the broader context simultaneously. You notice the comment. You also notice that the person seems stressed, that their tone is not specifically about you, that there are multiple possible interpretations. You have access to these perceptions because your nervous system is not in survival mode. Survival mode collapses possibility into a single threat narrative. Coherence holds multiple possibilities open. This is not a minor difference. This is the difference between a life lived in reaction and a life lived in response. Between being played by every stimulus and choosing your engagement with each one. Between being a tuning fork that vibrates to whatever strikes it, and being a tuning fork that holds its own frequency regardless of what is in the room. Your future self is not a person who never encounters difficulty. Your future self encounters the same difficulties you do. The difference is that your future self meets them from coherence, which means they do not penetrate. They do not destabilize. They do not send your future self into the same spiral that has been consuming your energy for years. The shield is not the absence of challenge. It is the presence of a coherent field that remains stable in the face of challenge. Now I want to address something that might be arising in you right now. A suspicion, a doubt. Something like, this sounds like I am just supposed to ignore my emotions and pretend everything is fine. No. That is suppression. And suppression is the opposite of coherence. Suppression is the nervous system clamping down on a signal it does not want to process. The signal does not go away. It goes underground. It becomes tension in the jaw, tightness in the chest, a knot in the stomach, an unnamed anxiety that follows you through your days. Suppression creates incoherence because it is a war between what you feel and what you allow yourself to feel. Coherence is not the absence of emotion. It is the full presence of emotion within a stable container. Think of the difference between a river and a flood. A river has banks. The water flows, sometimes fast, sometimes slow, sometimes turbulent, but within a structure. A flood is the same water without banks. It destroys because it has no coherent channel. Your emotions are the water. The shield, the coherent nervous system, is the riverbank. It does not stop the water. It gives it direction. It allows the emotion to move through you without becoming you. This distinction matters enormously because many people on the spiritual path confuse detachment with dissociation. They learn to witness their emotions from such a distance that they lose contact with them entirely. They become observers floating above their experience, spiritually correct but emotionally numb. This is not the shield. This is a different kind of fragmentation, one that looks peaceful on the surface but is actually a sophisticated avoidance strategy. The shield is full contact with your experience, held within a coherent field. You feel the anger. You feel the grief. You feel the fear. But the field does not fragment. The heart rhythm does not collapse into chaos. The prefrontal cortex stays engaged. You can feel fully and choose wisely simultaneously. This is what your future self has learned. Not to feel less, but to feel within a field that can hold whatever arises. If you are ready to take what we have just touched on to its deepest level, listen closely. Have you spent years chasing manifestation, visualizing, affirming, raising your vibration, only to watch the same patterns repeat? Every traditional method assumes the same thing, that you are separate from what you want. That separation was never real. You were chasing a signal you were already broadcasting. Beyond the frequencies, a quantum guide to consciousness mastery walks through all 9 frequencies, from the dense transmissions trapping you through the ascending currents, to the master frequencies where consciousness becomes the field. Every method you tried sent a signal outward. This one tunes the signal you already are. Every day you delay, your nervous system broadcasts the same old signal, and breaking free gets harder. So move on it tonight. The link is in the pinned comment below. Now, back to the coherent field and how it transforms everything it touches. I am curious about something. Have you ever had a moment where you felt that wider awareness, where instead of reacting, you suddenly just saw the whole picture clearly and responded from a place you did not even know you had? Tell me about that moment in the comments, because that moment was coherence, and recognizing it is how you learn to return to it. There is a concept from David Bohm, the physicist and philosopher, that illuminates this beautifully. Bohm proposed that reality has two orders: the explicate order, which is the world of separate objects and events that we perceive with our senses, and the implicate order, which is the deeper, enfolded reality from which the explicate order continuously unfolds. In the implicate order, everything is interconnected. Separation is an appearance, not a fact. The explicate order is like the surface of the ocean, where individual waves appear distinct. The implicate order is the ocean itself, where all waves are movements of the same water. Bohm suggested that consciousness participates in both orders. When we are caught in reactive patterns, we are operating exclusively from the explicate order. We see separate events, separate threats, separate people doing separate things to us. We react to the surface. But when we access coherence, we begin to participate in the implicate order. We sense the deeper connections. We perceive the pattern beneath the pattern. We respond to the whole, not just the fragment. The shield, in Bohm's framework, is the capacity to remain rooted in the implicate order while navigating the explicate one. To see the waves without forgetting the ocean. To engage with the surface without losing contact with the depth. This is not a mystical fantasy. It is a description of what happens neurologically when the heart and brain are in coherent communication. The perception literally widens. The time horizon extends. The sense of being a separate self under threat softens, not because you have talked yourself out of it, but because the nervous system is no longer generating the signals that create that perception. Let me bring this to another specific human experience, because the shield is not an abstract concept. It is something you will need in a particular moment, probably sooner than you think. There is a moment that most people know intimately but rarely examine. It is the moment just before you repeat a pattern you have repeated 100 times. You are about to send the text you know you should not send. You are about to say the thing that will escalate the argument. You are about to reach for the substance, the distraction, the numbing agent. And there is a gap. A tiny, almost imperceptible gap between the impulse and the action. In that gap, something flickers, a knowing, a whisper. The voice of the version of you that has already learned not to do this. That gap is the doorway, and the shield is what keeps the doorway open long enough for you to step through it. Without coherence, the gap is so narrow that the impulse and the action are essentially simultaneous. Stimulus, response. Trigger, reaction. The pattern completes before you even register that it was running. This is what it means to be unconscious. Not that you are asleep, but that the gap between stimulus and response has collapsed to zero. With coherence, the gap widens, not through willpower, through physiology. A coherent nervous system processes information differently. The signal from the amygdala, the brain's threat detection center, still fires. But instead of hijacking the entire system and bypassing the prefrontal cortex, which is what happens in an amygdala hijack, the coherent heart signal modulates the response. It slows the cascade. It keeps the higher brain functions online. And in that extra fraction of a second, something extraordinary becomes possible. Choice. Real choice. Not the illusion of choice that comes from suppressing the impulse through gritted teeth, but genuine, embodied choice that arises because you can see the impulse, feel it fully, and still select a different response. This is freedom, not freedom from emotion, freedom within emotion. The shield does not make you invulnerable, it makes you free. Viktor Frankl, the psychiatrist who survived the concentration camps, wrote that between stimulus and response there is a space, and in that space is our freedom and our power to choose our response. He discovered this in the most extreme conditions imaginable. What he was describing, without the neuroscience vocabulary, was coherence, a state of internal organization so stable that even the most brutal external circumstances could not collapse it entirely. Frankl did not have the language of heart rate variability or cardiac coherence, but he had the direct experience, and his testimony confirms what the research now shows. The space between stimulus and response is not fixed. It is not a personality trait. It is not something you either have or do not have. It is a function of your nervous system's state, and that state can be trained. This is the urgency your future self feels, because every day you spend without training this capacity is a day spent at the mercy of your reactivity. Every argument that escalates because the gap was too narrow. Every opportunity missed because the nervous system was in threat mode and could not perceive it. Every relationship damaged because you responded to the pattern instead of the person. These are not character flaws, they are coherence failures, and they are correctable. But they are only correctable through practice, not through understanding, not through agreement, through the boring, repetitive, undramatic act of sitting down, breathing through the center of your chest at a 10-second cycle, activating a genuine feeling and holding it, day after day, until the nervous system rewires. Let me tell you what else changes when the shield activates, because the effects extend far beyond your emotional reactions. Your immune function improves. This is documented. Chronic sympathetic activation suppresses immune function through sustained cortisol elevation. Cortisol is immunosuppressive by design, because in an acute threat, the body diverts resources from long-term maintenance to immediate survival. But when the threat never ends, because it is generated by your own perceptual patterns rather than by actual danger, the immune suppression becomes chronic. You get sick more often. You heal more slowly. Inflammation increases. The body begins to break down not because of external pathogens, but because of internal incoherence. When you shift to coherent autonomic function, cortisol levels normalize. DHEA, the vitality and repair hormone, increases. The ratio between cortisol and DHEA, which is one of the most reliable biomarkers for biological aging, shifts in favor of regeneration. You are not just feeling better. You are aging differently. Your future self is biologically younger than the version of you that stays in chronic stress. This is not metaphor. This is endocrinology. Your sleep changes. The autonomic nervous system governs sleep architecture. Sympathetic dominance fragments sleep, reducing the deep, slow-wave stages where physical repair and memory consolidation occur. Coherence training has been shown to improve sleep quality, increase time in restorative sleep stages, and reduce the time it takes to fall asleep. Your future self sleeps differently than you do, not because they have fewer problems, but because their nervous system is not running threat detection protocols at 2 in the morning. Your creativity changes. The default mode network, the brain network associated with creativity, insight, and self-referential thought, functions differently in coherent states. In stress, the default mode network tends toward rumination, repetitive negative thought loops that feel productive but generate nothing new. In coherence, the same network shifts toward associative thinking, novel connections, and genuine insight. The ideas that your future self has access to are not smarter ideas. They are ideas that can only emerge in a nervous system that is not consumed by survival. Your relationships change. And this is perhaps the most profound effect, because relationships are where most of our suffering lives. When your field is coherent, you stop unconsciously inviting people to match your wounds. You stop broadcasting the frequency that attracts the same painful dynamic over and over. Not because you have built a wall, but because the signal you are sending has changed, and different signals attract different responses. There is research on something called interpersonal physiology, the way two people's autonomic nervous systems influence each other in real time. When one person in a conversation is in a coherent state, the other person's nervous system begins to entrain to that coherence. Not always, not perfectly, but measurably. You become a coherent influence in the room simply by being in the room. The shield is not just personal protection, it is an environmental contribution. Your coherence changes the field for everyone around you. This is what your future self understands that your current self might resist. The shield is not selfish. Training your nervous system into coherence is not a retreat from the world. It is the most powerful thing you can do for the world. Because an incoherent person, no matter how well-intentioned, broadcasts incoherence. They add to the noise. They react to reactions. They amplify the very patterns they want to change. A coherent person, simply by maintaining their state, introduces a different signal into the collective field. They do not have to fix anyone. They do not have to convince anyone. Their coherence speaks at a frequency below words, and other nervous systems hear it. Consider sharing this with someone you know who is caught in reactive patterns right now. When you share these principles, you are not just passing along information. You are extending your own coherent field outward, creating a ripple that reinforces your understanding while offering someone else the tuning fork they need to remember their own frequency. That single act of sharing can create synchronicities neither of you could predict. Now let me address the temporal dimension of this, because the title of this exploration is not accidental. Your future self is not a metaphor, not entirely. There is a phenomenon in quantum physics called retrocausality, the theoretical possibility that future events can influence past ones. This is not science fiction. It is a serious area of investigation. The physicist John Wheeler proposed the delayed choice experiment, which has been confirmed in laboratory settings, showing that a measurement decision made after a photon has already passed through a double-slit can retroactively determine which path the photon took. The future measurement affects the past behavior. The arrow of causation, which we assume always points from past to future, may be more flexible than we thought. I am not claiming that your future self is literally sending messages backward through time in the way Wheeler's photons behave. But I am pointing to something that the strict materialist framework cannot easily explain. The pull you feel toward a version of yourself you have not yet become. The inexplicable certainty that a particular path is right, even when the evidence does not support it. The dreams that seem to show you something you later encounter. the moments of knowing that arrive before the information that justifies them. Whether you call this intuition, the implicate order, retrocausality, or the soul, the lived experience is the same. There is a communication happening across time within your own being. The version of you that has already integrated what you are learning now is not separate from you. It is you in a state of coherence you have not yet stabilized, and the signal it sends is constant. The only question is whether your current nervous system is tuned to receive it. In an incoherent state, you cannot hear it. The noise of reactivity, the static of chronic stress, the narrowed perception of survival mode, all of it drowns out the signal. You might catch a fragment in the moment before sleep, when the sympathetic system finally quiets. You might feel it in nature, when the absence of artificial stimulation allows your field to settle. You might sense it in meditation, in those rare moments when the mind stops performing and simply listens. But these are glimpses, intermittent receptions. Your future self is not sending intermittent signals. You are intermittently receiving them. The shield, the coherent field, is what turns intermittent reception into a stable connection. When your nervous system defaults to coherence, the channel is always open. The guidance is always available. Not as a voice in your head, not as a supernatural download, but as a quality of knowing that arises from the integration of heart, brain, and body into a single coherent system. You stop second-guessing because the signal is clear. You stop asking others for permission because the knowing is self-evident. You stop hesitating because the gap between perception and action is clean, uncluttered by the noise of unresolved activation. This is what your future self is asking you to build, not a wall against the world, a field of coherence within yourself that makes you a clear receiver and a clean transmitter, a state so stable that the provocations that used to derail you pass through like wind through an open window. Present, felt, acknowledged, and gone. No residue, no rumination. No 2-day emotional hangover from a 30-second interaction. Let me give you one more layer of the practice because the breath and the feeling are the foundation, but there is a deepening available that most people never access. Once you have established the rhythm 5 to 6 seconds in, 5 to 6 seconds out, breath flowing through the center of the chest, genuine feeling activated, add this. Begin to extend your awareness outward from the chest, not as a visualization, but as a felt sense. Feel the field around your body. You do not have to see it or imagine it in detail. Just notice the space around you as if it were part of you, because electromagnetically, it is. Now, from that expanded awareness, hold the intention of coherence, not as a thought, as a state. The way you hold the intention of balance when you are standing on one foot. You do not think about balance analytically. You feel it. You make constant micro-adjustments. You are in a dynamic relationship with the intention. Hold coherence the same way. Feel it. Adjust to it. Let it adjust to you. In this state, something subtle begins to happen. The boundary between inside and outside softens. Not in a dissociative way, not in a loss of self way, but in a way that feels like coming home to a larger version of yourself. The version that was always there, underneath the contraction, underneath the defense, underneath the identity you built to survive a world you perceived as threatening. This is the shield at its full expression. not a barrier, a field, not a defense, a frequency, not an escape from reality, a deeper participation in it. And here is the final thing your future self wants you to know, the thing that might be the hardest to accept. You do not need to become worthy of this. You do not need to earn it. You do not need to fix yourself first. The coherence is not a reward for getting your life together. It is the mechanism by which your life comes together. You do not clean the lens after you can see clearly. You clean the lens so you can see clearly. The practice comes first. The results follow. Every reason you have for not starting: I am not disciplined enough. I am too anxious. I am too busy. I have too much trauma. My life is too chaotic. Every one of those reasons is a symptom of the incoherence the practice is designed to resolve. You are using the disease as a reason not to take the medicine. Your future self sees this clearly. Your future self remembers the moment you stopped arguing with the practice and simply began. And your future self knows that moment is available right now. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel ready. Not after you finish the next video or read the next book or attend the next retreat. Now, in the next 3 minutes. Breath through the chest. 10-second cycle. A feeling that is real. Held without force, without performance, without expectation. 3 minutes today. 3 minutes tomorrow. 3 minutes the day after. Until the nervous system begins to remember what it knew before the world taught it to be afraid. Until the field stabilizes. Until the shield is not something you do, but something you are. Your future self is not begging out of desperation. Your future self is calling from a place of clarity, from the coherent field that is already yours, waiting for you to tune to its frequency. The signal has always been there. The static was never the truth of you. It was the noise of a nervous system that forgot its own song. The practice is the remembering. The shield is the song, stabilized. And the future that is waiting for you on the other side of 45 days of consistent, unglamorous, transformative repetition is not a fantasy. It is a frequency, one you can begin to tune to before this breath is finished. So take that breath now, slow, through the center of your chest. 5 seconds in, feel the space between your ribs expand. 5 seconds out, feel the release. And somewhere in that rhythm, in that warmth, in that ancient and immediate coherence, notice what has been trying to reach you. Notice what has been humming beneath the noise. Notice what your future self already knows. You are not broken. You are broadcasting. Change the broadcast, and everything that receives it changes too. If something in this landed, if you felt the hum beneath the words, stay in this space. Come back tomorrow, not for more information, but for more practice. Subscribe not because you need another video, but because this work deepens with repetition, and there are layers of this we have not touched yet. Leave a word in the comments, one word that describes what you felt during that breath. Not for me, for you. Because naming a state helps the nervous system encode it. And share this with someone whose nervous system is stuck in static, someone who has forgotten their own frequency. You will not be giving them a video. You will be giving them a tuning fork. The shield is yours. It always was. Now build it.